Okay, great. Yes. So we're almost through introductions here, but I'm just gonna interrupt for just a moment to tell you guys welcome. Did everybody get an email from me with the handouts last night? Yeah, great. Okay, good. If you didn't, I still have it and I can send it to you, but it'll help you follow along a little bit. And I'm going to try my best to keep checking here. But if I don't, and you have a question and I'm not answering it, please unmute yourself and speak up really loud so I can stop with my rambling and address whatever it is that you have to say. We're going to have one more introduction, and then I'm going to give you guys a little exercise to do. So, Chris, it's all yours.
My name's Chris. Been doing yoga for quite a while. Just went through 200 and 300 hour through Cambio. Yeah, I really enjoy it. Kind of similar to you guys. I think I wish I had a lot of this stuff, a lot of the knowledge when I was younger. I don't have any kids, but I think kids are important because all the things I complain about with adults, like if we could teach them, teach them stuff when they're young, maybe they'll be better adults. You know, like education, all that stuff. Kids are super important in the future. So I do like kids as far as the sense that they're just being around kids every once in a while, I think is really I don't know, it's just keeps you youthful and stiff hope and optimism, all the things.
It's good for the soul, right?
Yeah. So yeah, and as far as like doing this, I honestly have no idea. I've coached kids before. I coached like my girlfriend's kid in kindergarten and first grade. Basketball team. I coached kids soccer, and it's always kind of fun just because they never do what I want them to do, but you know, maybe they'll do a couple things and they get something out of it, so that's awesome. But that's what we all do. We get whatever we need out of the things that we do. So
yeah. Even that kid that was screaming the whole time, something might have worked its way in there. We never know. So we're just planting the seed and letting it go. That's the thing about teaching anything, but especially kids, is that people don't come up to you afterwards and say, you know, wow, that, you know, but they come up and say thank you, and sometimes they say this was fun, but you know, they don't come up and say, wow, this really turned my life around. You know, you don't know till later, right? So we have to have a lot of faith in anything that we do, that somehow it's making a difference. So real quick, would you guys just unmute maybe one at a time? I'm sorry, I can't even see you all at the same time. Maybe Goy, would you mind going first and just telling us who you are and you know what brought you here?
I'm Goy, and I've been teaching yoga since 2016 here at Cambio and other studios. I'm also a preschool teacher, and now I'm also working as a childhood director. I love to be with preschool children, and I have been teaching like kids yoga or family yoga at Cambio before when they had classes, but now it's kind of more request from school, you know, to kind of lead the kids with yoga, and I'm kind of run out of my materials. I'm just like, I need some new idea. And the thing is like, there is no more kids yoga at Cambio that I could go and observe. And I feel like kind of like have more inspiration to learn more now. So I'm interested to attend this introduction and maybe later on learn more from you. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Goy. Welcome. I didn't know you had an association with preschool, so thank you so much. Greg, would you like to go next for us?
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg. I did Cambio's 200-hour teacher training about a year and a half ago. And you know, similar to what Chris said, I didn't grow up doing yoga. It wasn't a thing in school-aged instruction and phys ed at my generation, and so I'm fascinated. You know, Anna Mack was one of my trainers, and she teaches at Manitou full-time, which is an amazing thing, I imagine. So I'd like to see what's involved and what kids yoga means.
Thank you so much. Ashley?
Hi. So I did Cambio's 200 and 300 hour training. Finished my 300 last year. I am just continuously fascinated by all things yoga. It's something that I would like to offer for my friends who have small children. And I just think that it could be super helpful for kiddos to pick up on these like subtle healthy habits like breathing techniques and all of that at a young age to just be like better equipped for life. So yeah, that's it.
That's it. Thank you so much. And Kayla.
Hi, my name is Kayla. I also did Cambio's 200 hour last year. I'm working today, but I did want to be part of this. So my
Thank you.
participation is going to be spotty, but I am currently pregnant with my first kid. And I agree with everybody else's sentiments. I wish that I did yoga when I was growing up. So I'm going to get that on my kid. So
Yeah,
thanks for doing this.
you're gonna have such a happy, healthy baby. Good luck.
I hope so. Thank you.
You go to Enzo by any chance?
No, I'm in Pittsburgh. So I'm 2 hours ahead of you
Oh.
guys. I
Oh,
lived in
wonderful.
Colorado, which is how I got Cambio. And now I'm in Pittsburgh and I just do all the classes 2 hours ahead.
Wonderful. Okay, so it's early, it's later there, right? Later, like afternoon there now.
Yeah, it's noon.
Cool. Oh, and Greg's from Pittsburgh, so there you go. You're never too far from home if you're in Colorado. There's somebody from everywhere. What I'm going to ask you guys to do is this is probably in your little folder. Let me just, I want to stay on track because I have a habit of getting excited and wanting to say more about things that aren't on the schedule. I'm going to try and keep everything on the schedule. And the first page is Welcome to the World of Children's Yoga. And if you don't have it, this is totally okay because I'll send it to you and you'll have it. But the first exercise I'd like to do, and we have index cards here, but I'm going to ask you guys to do it in the chat. And I'm going to put them down anonymously on these cards. Here's the question. I'd like to ask you today to connect with a part of your younger self than you might be in the habit of doing. And I'd like you to ask it, her, him, her, them, this following question. At some time, you could have used some help, advice, consolation, reassuring, or other. What do you wish someone had said to you, given to you, or taught you back in that time when you were 17 or younger? The other way to phrase that same thing is if you could go back today as who you were and see that person and sit with them, tell your younger self something, what would it be? And don't overthink this, just whatever comes to mind, because it's always, oh, there's pen, I'm sorry, there's markers in there. Kids yoga, we always use markers. And just think for a moment. Yeah, okay, I'm getting some, so I'm gonna write them down. You guys go ahead and write something down. This is gonna be anonymous. Hey, watch it. We're gonna keep this anonymous, and if you really don't, if you can't think of anything or you just don't want to do it, it's totally fine. We're not gonna, you're not gonna get a grade on it or anything, but I'm gonna write them down as they come in. We're not gonna read our own. So, nope, of course, if you want to or something like that, that's fine, but don't worry if you don't want to. Let's see. Looking for chat here. All right, I might go off camera for a second. I'm turning it so I can see if I have a chat going on here. There we go. Great. Okay, I'm gonna write these down. So if I'm off camera, it's okay. Great. Thank you, everybody. Place your card. I'll give your card to me. Now, you guys, I realize you can't quite participate this way, but we're going to read it anyway. So you'll get to hear everyone. You just don't get to read one, okay? And I'm just gonna let everybody pick. If you pick your own, please give it back. And pick another one.
Oh, I picked two.
That's okay. You might actually need two. Are they both not yours?
Oh, yeah, they're both.
Yeah, you're gonna need two, I think, because we only have a limited amount of people in person. Okay, awesome. So take a look at your card, make sure you know all the words and the person's handwriting is legible. Okay, I'm gonna go first because this is excellent. So remember where these came from? These came from just regular old people who are looking back at their life and, you know, nothing like not overly traumatic or anything. This is just things that happen. And what could we have, maybe what could you have said to me at that point? So here's one. Things may seem hard or even too much, but you will be okay. Even failure is just a pause, not an ending. I like that one. Go ahead, Jalen.
I have two. This
Okay.
one says breathe. Everything is temporary and you will get through this. And then this one says breathe for stress and anxiety.
Yeah, so two on breath, just off the top of our heads, things that we didn't know when we were kiddos. Sean?
I have two. The first one says, I am loved and I am loved. And the second one is, it's okay to feel the way you feel.
I have two as well. Don't compare yourself. You don't have to compete, do you? And no one cares as much as you think they do. All discomfort is temporary.
Right, and I'm assuming that means no one cares in the sense that no one's judging you, not that no one cares. Plenty of people care, just, yeah, no one's it's not a competition, you're not up against anybody else. Those feelings that, you know, everybody's looking at me, you know, probably they aren't. And I could have used that when I was young.
For sure.
Right, so the purpose for this exercise is for many reasons, but one is just these points that keep coming up for us as adults are pretty easily addressed to children if we know that it's important. Like Sean was saying, does it always make a difference? You know, you're just planting the seeds. No, maybe not. You won't know if you're making a difference or not. But if you're saying these things to kids and you're getting across this message, then you are really the best kids yoga teacher there is, because that's really what we need. So this, I'm going to jump ahead for just a moment because it's what I do. Sorry, put these in a different order than I should have. Let's talk about, if you go, I'm sorry, I don't have page numbers. The top of the page says in red, have a plan, be ready to scrap the plan, read your audience, and be present. So this is something we'll talk about maybe if we have time later, but really briefly, I want to tell you that the goal of our class is to do one of these things. The goal of the class is not to teach kids down dog. The goal of the class is to remind them that they have tools, that they belong, they fit in here, they are welcome, they're loved, and they are heard. And so we just do it through yoga. That's kind of the vessel that we do it through, but that's kind of the message. So what I want to just say here is, if you have gotten to the end of your class and the kids are safe, they learn any kind of skill or emotional practice to use later, and they leave feeling that they love yoga or that it's okay or not too bad, and we hit one of these points, then you did it. Your lesson plan was a success, even if you didn't get to do it. Okay, because that happens, right? Okay, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to stay on track to the best of my ability. So why yoga for children? I love this question. Like, why do you teach yoga to kids? It's like, I don't know, why do you teach yoga to adults? They're human. So it's so simple to me, right? It doesn't have to be over their heads, but it also shouldn't be something they can't do till they grow up. That's crazy, right? There's no reason. You know, in India, they begin earlier, yogis begin earlier. And it's many schools, many lineages are much stricter than we are in America. And so you'll notice that they won't do certain poses with kids, or they won't overstimulate kids, and they won't do, or here, at least in our classes, we don't do a lot of retaining of breath. We don't do any retaining of breath for kids, because that's advanced, but yoga itself is not. Yoga itself is very natural, and kids are yogis all over the place. I mean, they're present, they're engaged, they're interested, they're open to new ideas, they're flexible, they're energetic. It's all the things that you really need in yoga. So that's why yoga for kids. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, but you know, people ask, so you can tell them anything you want. There's also scientific research in the back. There's a resource link. I didn't put the whole article in there, but why yoga, it comes from Harvard or something. Why is yoga important to children? It's more than just, you know, fun and games, I think it's called. So you can always pull that out for parents and teachers and people who are curious and asking you questions. Can we come up with 3 places where we could bring yoga to kids? And anybody there want to unmute, or I know you can raise your hand, but you can just unmute and yell it out if you want to. Goy.
I've been doing with them in my class before circle time or story time, just to help them calm down and little movement along with the story that I'm reading for them. And I do again at the closing time, you know, just kind of fun for the whole group, and just to be a transition to say goodbye to kids, some kids that go home at the half-day program. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful ideas. Preschools, schools, you know, we're sneaking into schools. I'll tell you more about that later. After school programs. Anybody else? Any ideas come to mind?
Yeah, so like I said before, I've worked in a daycare for 4 years, and I've had my fair share of kids who just are insane, crazy, all over the place all the time. And I've always thought, because I've always liked doing yoga here and there, like once a week, just a class, and it really helps me. And I've had a lot of experience with anxiety and mental issues throughout my whole life, and so I can connect with these kids who just feel like super not in control of their actions and the way they feel. And I've always thought at my daycare, I've never really like taken another step towards it, but I've always thought, like, if we could just get these kids to just sit in a circle and just try to meditate for like 5 minutes, I'm sure we could just calm down, turn on some music, turn off the lights, and just have them sit and breathe. I feel like it could make an impact, even if it's for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, however long they can get themselves to do it, sit still. I just feel like it could have made an impact if we did it once a week, once a day. Just I feel like that could have helped a lot. In my
It definitely
setting.
grows, you know, you may be overextending with the minute even.
Right.
30 seconds might be a start, 30
Yeah.
seconds. And they do need something. You can't just tell them close your eyes and meditate. You know, that doesn't mean anything to them. So you have them focus on one thing, the breath in and out, or the watching a glitter jar settle, or all these little neat tricks we have, listen to the bell, those kind of things. They take your mind off the pressure of having to do something and then get your body involved in it. And that's the best way to learn, you know, kind of that feel and do at the same time. Anybody else have any unique ideas of where we could bring where kids need yoga?
I think one of the great things about yoga is like the body positivity. Like I know, especially when you're a kid, you're super conscious.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Not that it ever goes away, but you don't know, you're growing and you're going through, depending how old you are, there's a lot of different things going on. So being able to bring yourself to like, this is okay, you're all gonna be, you know, just focus on your own thing. I think that could be really positive.
This is our vessel and it's not who we are. It's important because it gets us to express who we are, but it's not who we are. And so, I mean, that whole thing with body image, you can't start too early. I'm gonna say one thing about body image, because that's kind of like my specialty. I do like a middle school talks on this and stuff with girls in particular, but boys as well. It's not only girls. So we talk about the reason that we have all this, the input that we're getting, and everybody that says you should look this way or wear this or, you know, be taller or be skinnier or be more muscular, all that. All of those forces are coming from commercial gain. No one is out there doing this for your health. No one is saying, you know, you should do this so you'd be healthier. They may say that, but they don't mean it. What they really mean is so you'll look like you're supposed to look. But there's big bucks behind all of it. And that's why it's so prevalent. That's why we keep going. It's like, now you need this. Now you need to look this way. It's a business to keep us unsatisfied and always reaching for one thing. If we all got there, they would not know what to do. So what did I want to say? Oh, the one thing I want to say is on my soapbox is, if you go through all this with your kids and you tell them you're beautiful, you're perfect, your body's magnificent, you're glowing, you're smart, you're intelligent, and then you turn around and look in the mirror and say, oh my God, what's this? You just killed the whole thing. And that takes a long time to learn because we want to pass on this positivity, but we don't necessarily have it ourselves. So I'm going to leave you with that. I like that because it's so true for me. I mean, every time I say it, even I say, oh God, I'm still not there. Major differences between kids yoga and adult yoga. They're huge. I mean, we're noisy. We play, we run, we jump up and down and play games. You know, we don't do any of that stuff in adult yoga, but we do keep it yoga. We don't make it just exercise. So we don't just do 45 minutes or an hour of yoga poses and sun salutations and stretching and moving. We do that, but not for the whole time. The other time we spend on learning about the breath, we spend on learning about emotions, we spend, you know, all that kind of stuff so that we don't water down yoga. That's not what we're here for. If you want to teach exercise to kids, that's fabulous. If you want to take this and bring it in just a way where we're going to use our bodies better, and you don't have to call it yoga, whatever you want to call it. But yoga is still yoga, and it's not over their heads. It's simply how we approach it, how we teach it. Okay, so the things that are the same are the things like, if you've taken teacher training, things like the yamas and niyamas, how we behave in real life, things to keep us on track. Those things are perfect for kids. You just have to kind of just express them a little bit differently, a little bit more understandable. That's all, just a little, because they haven't had all the life experience that we've had. In your packet is 8 limbs of yoga for children, and it's about, I'm so sorry I didn't label these pages. I could have done it. And it's based on the 8 limbs of yoga from, you know, the 8 limbs of yoga. And, but there, it's rephrased just a little bit. There's a couple of little differences. Care of others and care of self. Those are the yamas and niyamas. Poses, we call that asana, but it's just about the poses. Breath work. Concentration. It's a little different than when we learn it. Meditation, same thing. And senses. The senses is a little bit of a stretch from what we learn in grown-up yoga as the 8 limbs, because withdrawal of the senses is what we're really going for, getting beyond the physical and into what's behind it all. In kids yoga, I more like to make it about appreciation of senses, because it's just too hard. It's just not simple enough. Some of this you really do have to learn later. But appreciation for senses is really is kind of the opposite, but it also gives you awareness of all the abilities in your body that we need to appreciate. Our sense of touch, a sense of smell, hearing, and taste, and all that, and sight, of course. So we just focus on the senses themselves, and then bliss. What do I have to say? Just happiness, just those little moments of fleeting joy that we get now and then, to just enjoy them. And that's the thing I think kids are the best at, when something happens and they're all laughing. It's like, that's it. That's the best thing in life. Happy life is a bunch of happy moments all strung together. And kids are the best people to teach us that, in my opinion. We're going to move backwards just a little bit to the 5 steps on managing big emotions. This is new for me, well, in the past year or so. In that I've added it to every class that I teach, and sometimes more than once. I'll do it several weeks in a row. This became kind of my foundation for working with kids in yoga, especially kids who don't necessarily choose to be there. So we're in a lot of schools now. Peaceful Warriors has gotten into, thanks to Sean and me, mostly Sean, we got into a community program in District 2. District 2 is just about the lowest economic district that we have in Colorado Springs. And they have found funding for free before and after school care in their elementary schools. This is huge. This has never happened in Colorado Springs before. Probably not in Colorado, probably not mostly in the US. So they were tasked with developing the program for this before and after school program. And a community center that was in charge came and asked us if we could do a program for them. So we have 3 elementary schools, 1 time a week for each one, and we give them an hour of yoga, and it's all free for them. So some of these kids don't really want to be there. They don't want to be in daycare. It's a long day. They don't want to be anywhere except home, maybe playing with their Nintendo. They're tired. And maybe they didn't choose to do yoga, but this is what's on the schedule, so they're doing it. So that's where I find this to be a really big help, not only for agreements in the classroom, but about just things you can remember throughout your day when you have a problem. And they all relate to this really well. So let's go through it. I'm going to teach you as though I were teaching a class. Hold out your hand. Number 1 thing to remember, no matter how upset I get, it's never okay to hurt others or myself. I added the or myself. Can you believe they didn't have that on there? Number 2, take 3 deep breaths or slowly count to 10. Number 3, use my words to say how I feel and what I wish would happen. Too often we just react. We say I'm angry. We hit the other kid back. We take their toy, whatever, but we didn't express what we wanted to happen. It's better to say, Chris pushed me on the playground and I want him to apologize. There's a solution right there. You're figuring it out yourself. Number 4, ask for help to solve the problem. Then we ask, who can you ask for help? And they usually say teacher or you or whatever. You can also ask your friends for help. You can ask your peers for help, but they don't have to be grown up. And any old grown-up is not gonna do either, because you have to be somebody that you really trust. And number 5, take time to calm down. So then I ask, what are the things that we do to calm down? And kids are brilliant. They know all this stuff, they just don't always do it. What do you do to calm down? Let's do this for real. What's your calm down technique? You've had a really bad day, you got to get away from everything. Is there one or two things that you do to relax yourself?
I like to exercise.
Okay, physical movement, absolutely. Changes your mood, literally changes your mood. Endorphins come, they erase some of that sadness, and you have an immediate mood change. Perfect. What else?
Mine's the same, exercise or yoga.
Yep, yoga, relaxation. Anything else, Sean?
I go to sleep.
Nap, absolutely. Sometimes our body needs sleep. Nap is a number one. Nap is a number one, along with exercise, because it literally changes your mood. You go into another state and you let go of whatever it was. When you wake up, it's not, hopefully, pressing on you. Other wonderful things that kids have said are, get a hug from my grandma. That one I really love. Eating, sometimes I'm hungry, sometimes I'm cranky because I'm hungry, eating something that makes me feel better. That doesn't mean, I don't judge food, but it doesn't mean a gallon of ice cream. That's another problem. Okay, that's like you might be kind of like dulling something there, avoiding something, but eating a snack, even if it is a sweet or something like that, just to change your mood, change your body chemistry. Great ideas: art, drawing, coloring, reading. Anybody else have another one out there in Zoom land?
I'm doing guided meditation. I grew up in Thailand, so when I was in elementary school, we did that after lunch for 30 minutes from grade 1 to grade 6 every day. So it kind of remind me, like at that time, in my childhood, that I did that through my 6 years in elementary school. Yeah, and that was great.
That's a fabulous thing to know. I wish we grew up in Thailand, because it would be different. I think you have a different, when you have that as a coping mechanism, as an answer to something, then you might not go to something else for it. You might understand, this is what I need. So that's great. Thank you. Anybody else? Totally okay. If not, I'm just checking. Okay, cool. So kids will find the things that work for them. And it's our job to remind them, not to give them something new necessarily, but they might hear it from a friend and say, oh yeah, that works for me, or whatever. And if you ask them in a group like this, they're going to raise their hand like possibly 2 or 3 times, which is fabulous. They really want to speak, they really want to say their stuff. And so it's your job to kind of, try to keep them on track, but, let them go for, 30 seconds to a minute. Once they get into a story, you have to remind them that we have 20 other kids in the class and we can't spend all day on this, but yeah, and that'll happen too. So we're going to do a little exercise. Oh, I apologize. I didn't bring my paper for you guys. What a loser. Turn one of the pages over. And all you need for this is a marker that's going to show up on your paper. I usually give them colored paper because it's just a little more a little more fun, but doesn't matter what you use, crayons, pencils, whatever. This is the same as finger breathing. So you can do it just to teach them this, tracing the fingers. This is a way to take 5 breaths. But we're going to do it since we have a paper today. We're going to put our non-dominant hand down on the paper. And we're going to start, I'll do the finger way, and then the rest of you guys can do the pencil way. So starting at the base of your thumb where it meets your wrist, take a nice deep breath and travel all the way to the tip of your thumb at the tip of your inhale. Then on your exhale, make your exhale last as long as it takes to slide down into that web between your thumb and your first finger. Inhale, lengthening up to the tip of the index finger, and exhale, coming down into the web. Inhale the same way, so you're following your own breath, nobody else's, and coming down with each exhale to begin again. And when you get all the way down to the wrist of the pinky side, you have your hand, and hopefully your mood has changed a tiny bit because you just took 5 deep breaths without being distracted. If I told a bunch of kindergartners to take 5 deep breaths, all right, go, never gonna happen. You know, they get 2 and then they're distracted and then they lose count. And then, so it's one of the best ways with all ages to relax. And I teach that to grownups as well, by the way. It's not just kids that benefit from this stuff, right? I know, grown-ups are big kids and kids are just little grown-ups. Sort of, to a point. So I'm gonna move around just a little bit. And I'd like to do something, I'm gonna pop into participating in a kids yoga class. So that's back towards the back again. I apologize. I'm not going to apologize for that anymore. We already know, we established that we don't have numbers on pages. Participate in a children's class. It says affirmation, breath, yoga, game or story, mindful exercise. So what I want to give you guys here is a real taste of it, not just here's how to do it in theory, but to actually have some things in your back pocket for, especially like boys, you can try out some new things, and they might lead you to other new things that you discover. You know, we have some resources in there. That's also a good starting place. Just kind of diving into, you know, kids yoga, looking it up, copying a couple of things, some handouts and things like that are fun if they're an activity. But I think for what we have right now, we don't have any need for props or anything like that. So we're going to start our class, our imaginary class, with our adult children's class with an affirmation. An affirmation is a positive thing we say to ourselves, either out loud or to each other. And we like to start class with an affirmation. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can just be, I am fine. I am okay, just the way I am, something like that. That goes for everybody. Usually has to do with the lesson. So at Omtastic Yoga, that we developed these curricula, we always have a theme for 6 weeks, for example, and we have each week laid out with a different affirmation and a different idea. So we have this bug one, and it's called What's Bugging You, and it is about a lot about bugs and insects, but it's also you know, what's bugging you, being aware of, you know, what's the issue, how can I fix it, stuff like that. So when we begin with some kind of connection or an affirmation. I feel happy when, and then you make it up yourself, whatever you feel like. That's a nice affirmation, really quick. They'll want to tell you, by the way. So, you know, they'll each want to tell you when they feel happy. And that's great, as long as you, you know, allot the time for it. Go ahead and do that. So the affirmation today is just a cute thing that we do. I am happy. We put our hands in prayer. I am strong, muscles. I am loved. Give yourself a hug. And I belong. And we reach out towards the other people's shoulders. We don't, you know, probably maybe no touching hands at this point, whatever the latest is. Okay. So I do it. We do it a little bit faster then. So everybody do it with me. I am happy. I am strong. I am loved, and I belong. We go really fast. I am happy, I am strong, I am loved, and I belong. So it gets so. Oh, they're in the bottom of the bucket. They're all in the bottom of the bucket. I'm sorry, you guys. Sorry. So I told you I get excited and then things happen. So then it becomes kind of a game and they laugh. So breath, we always teach a breath. Every class, I always have a breath, and it may serve different purposes. It may be an energizing breath. So this is balloon breath. It's just a deep breath. You bring your hands out on the inhale and you close them down, or ball breath, it's called, close them down. It's just following your lungs, inhaling, exhaling, expanding and contracting. And it just helps, one more way to help keep your mind and your body focused and together by doing something very similar to the finger breath, really, just a way to calm down, something to focus on. Here's our sun salutation for kids, or one of them anyway. So I know we don't all have mats, but we're just gonna give it a try anyway. We don't really, I don't think we need mats, we're gonna be fine. So everybody come on up to standing. I'll see if I can stay in the camera view. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't want to mess with it because I don't want to, yeah, you guys can see me. Okay, all right. So this is a little poem we teach them, and they learn it so fast that you can ask them to read it before you do it even 3 times. So each one will take a turn leading it, maybe help them along. First one is I touch the sun, I touch the ground, I take big steps, hold the plank, and I lower down. I hiss like a snake, I stretch like a dog. You can bark if you want to, over the lake, and squat like a frog. And 3 froggy jumps, ready with rivets. 1, 2, 3, good top. Come on up to standing, and to the sun I say thanks for another beautiful day. Then we might do it really slow, and we might do it really fast to just, you know, go at them. So let's do it one more time. I touch the sun, I touch the ground, I take big steps, I lower down, I hiss like a snake, I stretch like a dog, hop over the lake, and squat like a frog. And 2 froggy jumps. 1, 2, and to the sun I say, thanks for another beautiful day. So you can add on to that. It doesn't have to rhyme, but they do learn it really fast, and I suggest doing it every time, every class, pretty much. So then we move into a game or a story. And I haven't decided what we're going to do today yet. So I'm going to hold on to that for just a minute. And we're going to go into the mindful exercise. So this is pretty common. It's done quite a bit. I don't know where my chimes are. That's okay. So we, got me a little out of breath. So we, so I don't have my mallet. It's in there somewhere, but that's okay. Anything will do. So what you're going to do is ask the kids to do one thing at a time. This is mindfulness. You're teaching them what mindfulness means. No matter what distractions are going on, all I want you to do is listen to the bell and raise your hand when you can't hear it anymore. Everybody's going to raise their hand. I don't know why. They just, I don't know. And then when I ring it, they raise their hands again. But no, can't hear. So take a few times to let them learn this. Listen as long as you can and raise your hand when you can't hear it anymore. Awesome. So I don't know how that worked for you guys. You could hear that properly. I know Zoom is sometimes really weird with sound. That's why I don't play music for you, because it'll be really weird. But then do it. Well, first, I just want you to notice how quiet everything got. And you will get this quiet in your class, hopefully. And that's you just look up and you realize, wow, they're really thinking. They're really absorbing something. And then you can do it again with eyes closed. This is also for senses, but do it again with eyes closed and tell me if it lasts longer or shorter for you. And if it's easier or harder. So the object here is multiple things. Number one, you just learned mindfulness because you're focused on one thing. You weren't distracted by other things going on. You were listening only to that. There might have been other noise, but you weren't focused on it because you wanted to hear the bell the longest. And the other thing is appreciation for our senses, and how, isn't that interesting how if your eyes were closed, a lot of kids and adults will say it was easier because you have no distractions, and they understand that. And then, you know, we can talk a little about why are we distracted. Distraction is, you know, there all the time. And for kids especially, they get so caught up in it, like, you know, he's touching me, he's touching me, he's touching me, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and they can't focus on anything. And so sometimes it's good to remind them, well, you know, I get distracted too all the time, but sometimes it's good to remind them that you have that ability. You just showed me that you have that ability to bring everything to one focal point. You have the strength to ignore, to fix, you know, to ask for a new seat, to speak up for yourself, and to solve the problem, whatever it is that's distracting you. But we can't always get it, what we need, and we need to learn how to adapt to that. Like meditation in a busy place, it's just the same as when traffic comes and you're meditating, you know, it's like, oh, you know, it's so irritating and stuff. Well, life is going on, and that's how it is. It's not, it's easy to meditate in an ashram. That's the, you know, that's easy. That's all, your situation is totally built to do that, to support that. But how important is that? Not as much as meditating in the real world, because we need it more. Okay, I'm gonna skip the gamer story right now and just see if we have time. Basically, we have a bunch of games. I mean, a bunch of games. Oh, and I put one in here, so I think we'll do that one. But in our in-depth training, man, it's like, it's more than you could ever do in a lifetime. Breathing buddies. So part of the class, so we did what did we do? We did a breath, we did an affirmation, we did a movement, all that. And we would do more movement and games. But in this brief version, we would end up with some kind of meditation. So I try to get some quiet into the class at some point where they can relax. The breathing buddies are so fun. They're little like beanie babies. They're weighted with little beans in them. And they're stuffed animals. And when they come out, we have a whole story that goes with them. We place them on everybody's belly while they're on their back in Shavasana. And it's way cool. And they, you know, you take them for a ride with your breath, lifting and lowering and stuff like that. Well, all this kind of went out the window with COVID, because we really don't want to be bringing stuffed animals to share and hands-on and all that stuff, and then bring them to another school. And so the breathing buddies are on vacation right now. And it's hard because we really depend on them. But instead, let's try relaxing meditation. So I'm going to do this for kids, and they might be a little older than the little ones. Little ones might have a hard time with that because it just staying still is hard for them. So a song might be better for them. We have some, you know, this cool playlist and all that I can get to you. All sorts of ideas, but maybe let's do this special place meditation. So come to your comfortable seat, or you can lie down if you want. You can use your bolsters, pillow, anything at home. You can crawl into your bed, or and we're going to do a meditation called a special place. So I want you to close your eyes and think about, oh, again, I say close your eyes if you're comfortable. Some kids don't want to close their eyes. It's totally okay. Some kids will be wandering around, you know, the room, possibly one or two, just as long as they're quiet and not distracting. And picture a place where you felt really safe. And as you picture it, remember, you can make this up. You have your imagination to work from. So it doesn't have to make sense. It could be a place from a book, from a movie, from a picture that you've seen. It could be a place you've really been. It could be someone's home. It could be outdoors. And see if you can settle yourself. Just imagine that you are there in that special place. You feel safe and comfortable. You can relax your body here, soften your face, soften your hands, your legs, and then start to add things into your picture. So what things would be around you? What would you see if you opened up your eyes? Would you see a ceiling? Would you see a tent, a teepee? Would you see a sky, a blue sky, cloudy sky? And then what would you see on your left and your right? So looking both sides, to one side and then the other, pretend, and add the things that make you feel comfortable. It doesn't have to make sense. You can bring stuffed animals to your special place in space. It doesn't have to make sense. whatever things make you feel comfortable and safe. And now notice how you feel in this place. So how would the air feel on your skin? Would it be moving? Would it be still? Be warm or cool? And then what would you feel underneath you? Would it be soft? Would it be a bed? Would it be a floor? Would it be the earth? And then bring to mind a special smell. So your your smelling sense is very, very strong. It can bring you back to places that you haven't been in a long time. So imagine a smell that made you feel comfortable or happy. Could be a Christmas tree, could be a candle, it could be cookies that your grandma made you, could be anything from way back or something really that happened yesterday. And then what is your favorite taste? And imagine that you're experiencing that taste right now in your mouth. Is it sweet? Is it salty? Is it sour? Is it bitter? And then imagine, what would you hear in this special place? Would it be maybe silence? Hear nothing? Would it be people that you love? People talking, maybe people singing, maybe music, maybe the sounds of nature, a running brook, light breeze, the forest, the breeze blowing through it, the trees rustling. Now all of your senses are here now in your special place. And I want you to take an imaginary picture. It's a magic picture. So you're going to take like a snapshot, like a selfie. And you're going to picture everything that's in here, but it's a magic picture. And so you can actually capture the sound, the feeling, the taste, the smell, and what you see. So take a picture of this beautiful place and then place it in your imaginary back pocket so that you can have it later when you need to be in a safe place or a special place or a comforting place or a loving place. So all that imagination that you did was all you. I just gave you some ideas. And you can create this anytime that you have a little bit of time and quiet to yourself. Maybe before going to bed if you have trouble sleeping. Maybe going back to sleep if you wake up in the night. Or maybe just relaxing when you need a minute alone. So with your snapshot safe in your imaginary back pocket, let's begin to wiggle our toes and our hands. Give yourself a nice good morning stretch, if you like, all the way out to the sky and down to the toes. And slowly bring yourself up to a seat. So we're going to learn a song. It's very easy. You please have to sing along with me. Sean, I know you like to sing. This might not be right at your speed, but please, because, you know, because I don't like to sing by myself. So we talk about namaste, meaning a bow of respect to each other. And this song is My Little Light, and it's to the sound of wheels on the bus. And I have no idea where it came from. But here it is. So what I ask of kids is, when you say my little light, you bring your hands to you. And when you say bows to your little light, you're going to find someone special in the group and you're going to look at them and try to get eye contact with them. And then you change it to your little light, your little light. So we'll see. Okay. My little light bows to your little light, your little light. Your little light, my little light, bows to your little light. Namaste. Awesome job, you guys. Good work. That is, I think, about our 1 hour. I'm going to, if you need to leave, that's totally okay. I'm just going to tell you in 2 minutes the reason I brought you all here. No, I'm just kidding. The reason I brought you here is because I love people sharing this and I love to share it. So this is a taste, obviously. But we do have trainings coming up. We have module training. So here's the deal. You can get a 95-hour certificate if that's what you want. If you're collecting your certificates, that's what you want. You need a 200-hour from somewhere in order for that to be validated. So if you're planning on doing 200 eventually, you can get the 95 hours and then get them, apply for them both at the same time. That's how Yoga Alliance works. You can't get a children's without a 200, which is good, really. You need a little more than that. But you don't need any kind of certification or qualification to teach yoga to children. The more experience you have, obviously, the better it's gonna look, but it's, if somebody wants to bring you in to do it and you're up for it, go ahead, we'll support you and give you whatever you might need. But the point of getting the 95 is if you're into learning the whole thing. And I would just say to me, it's not critical. But module 1 is really good. Module 1 is all about the physical, pretty much, like keeping your class in control, keeping everybody safe, obviously doing poses that are good for them and not maybe a couple poses that you wouldn't want to do with kids, possibly headstand or, full camel. It's a few things you might not want to do unless you're one-on-one with them because they can get a little crazy. And so if you're interested in learning any of that, module 1 is going to happen. I'm swearing to it. It's about 30 hours long. It goes over 3 days. We will offer it online and in person, but I hope you'll do in person. And the last offering of that for this year is the end of October. The 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 29, 30, 31. And that's the one I would say is that'll get you going right away. It's a big, thick book. I didn't bring the manuals. I forgot them. But it's a big, thick binder. You'll have everything you need in there. Even just to look back on later, it talks about child development and what ages they go to. We also have special speakers that come in, especially on trauma. We have a therapist come in and give her views on working with children with trauma, because it's so important, obviously, but we try not to do it all ourselves, because first of all, that's boring. You take 30 hours of just me and Jan, and it could drive you crazy. No, I'm sure, like we're entertaining and all, but it's not the same. So getting experts in is really our thing. And we don't want to do it all. So we have Suzanne come in and do the sound bowls and sound healing and mantras and chanting and things like that to really liven things up. And then we have usually we have a chiropractor or some anatomy specialist with children. So it's all, it's all not just us, which is a plus.
Is that Suzanne Wershka?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And also Debbie Flora is the sound person, and she also comes sometimes, so whoever's available at the time, and another woman, Aveen. So we have a lot of resources for that. But that kind of stuff is great for children. That's in the second part. So the second part of the training is what Yoga Alliance kind of makes you do. And in order to add up to the 95 hours, you have to cover certain subjects. Some of them I wouldn't really normally do with kids, but it's okay. I mean, we do it, but it's not every day that you would get to use this in a school. And I'll give you an example. The stories of yoga, Krishna and Ganesh and so many of those characters are so interesting, but you have to be really careful about how you're addressing that. They're not, you don't say this was the god of this or the god of that, because that'll get you kicked right out of your public school. And our goal is to be open and friendly to everybody, So we do have some little like fairy tales about them. They're very cute, y'all. And it's great if you approach it as a story, but the other things are just a little bit deeper than you might normally go with children. But it's all fun. It's all great, but it's almost more for the adults or the adult teacher than it is for the child. But we do some fun stuff, and philosophy, of course, is fine, because it's really, it's the yamas and niyamas are the way we act, the way we do stuff, to how we do what we do and stuff like that. So That part is good.
I was gonna say one more thing.
Yeah.
We forget that kids actually goes all the way up to like 18, 19, 20.
Yes, so, yes, absolutely. You have
So
to
when we
be,
think kids, a lot
Yeah.
of times we think first, second, and third, but I mean, I hate to say it, but when I was 15, 16, and 17, I was still a kid.
I'm still a kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Legally, I'm not still a kid, but I'm still.
Yeah, totally. And it's important to keep that. The older you get, the more important it is to not let go of that child experience. But you have to think about those ages, like 11 to 17. They're not the funnest, like Chris was saying. They're awkward and, they're not great for everybody. And to have other people in the room at that age getting the same kind of lessoning and affirmation is really a positive thing for them. A lot of yoga is just community, just finding your place, finding your home, finding comfort with your body. And you just can't start that stuff too soon, period. So I'm going to give you a quick spiel, and then if you want to go, you can. If you want to ask questions, you can. If you want to do some more practice, I'm happy to do that. We didn't get to all the fun exercises that we do. We definitely have a game in store if you guys want to stick around for a little bit. So other things I want to talk to you about are after school classes are going on, as I said, in 3 district elementary schools in District 2. And if you want to ever observe, that happens to be one of the places where they're pretty open to visitors coming. Some schools are not, but this one would be. So all you have to do is contact me, I'm down at the bottom here, and ask me about maybe observing or assisting. In our 95-hour training, we have practicum. So we do 6 hours of observation in a classroom with the teacher, 6 hours of assisting the teacher, and then 6 hours of teaching and being observed by one of our teachers. So we don't throw you out there to the wolves right away, unless that's what you want us to do, and then we'll do that too. But you'll get a lot of feedback, you'll have a mentor and all that stuff. That can also be done if you decide to just do the 30 hours to get your feet wet, find out what it's about, get started teaching, see if you really like it. We can also work on things like mentorship and practice teaching and all that. So we don't just leave you there. There's a Children's Academy preschool and daycare that has classes twice a month. They would probably be open. Well, I know they would be open to having a visitor. Family and kids yoga once per month at Meadows Park Community Center. And if you go to peaceful-warriors.org, you will see new events kind of all the time with things that we're doing in the community. The goal is to have them free for the community, and then supplement with donations and also with paying jobs that can go to continue funding the teachers. Peaceful Warriors is a nonprofit, and we pay our teachers. Yes. So we don't have volunteer teachers unless you're doing your training. Because yoga teachers volunteer way too much, and it becomes a burden sometimes and a resentment, and it's just not what we believe in. We believe as an organization, a foundation, that our teachers are valuable. They paid for trainings, they paid for internships, they paid for their yoga, all this, and we pay as generously as we can, and so far we get the best people that way. So throwing that out there, because money's always a thing, right? You don't want to do something and not have a little backup to make sure it's just not another whim. Another idea, another brilliant idea, as my husband would say. Another great idea to not make any money. That's what he tells me. You have a question, Sean? Or
No,
statement?
I'm gonna add.
Okay.
We're also a part of the Indie Give campaign
Oh, yes.
this year. And so we've got some grants and so forth, matching grants. And so we're looking to expand in the growth program and that type of thing. 2, we are anticipating, as we do collaboration with other nonprofits that are also a part of the campaign, that the opportunities will grow.
Here's
And
some of the
as-
things going on this month.
As the opportunities grow, we need
More and more people.
teachers. So what you just mentioned is just the beginning of opportunities that are definitely gonna continue to come. So just FYI, that'll be like, I think the end of the campaign is the end of
December.
December.
Yep. So
Um,
November and December, you'll see that campaign all over town. If you're familiar with that, if you've been here for a while, you'll see it, you'll recognize it. Changed from Indie Give to Give campaign because they got more sponsors involved. So they branched out. It's not just the independent anymore, but they give a lot of coverage to nonprofits, to small nonprofits like us. And so we're part of that, really excited to be accepted into that. And as you're out and about in town, and you see those fundraisers, be as generous as you can and know that, our mission and the other missions are well vetted. So they're going to the actual cause. You have to prove that you're actually funding what you say you're funding and all that kind of stuff. So as, the holidays roll around, everybody asks for money. And I just ask that you keep it in mind. And if you're able to donate in any way, great.
Oh, I'm the marketing piece, by the way.
Yes.
So if you have not liked Peaceful Warriors Facebook page,
Yeah.
please do. That's where we're gonna be sharing all of the information. I know that we're getting ready to have a vendor spot at Albrecht's Rescue and Training. Is gonna do an end of the year bazaar, their holiday. Is it holiday?
Howell, yeah.
Holiday. Anyway, but like the page, and then that way there's some opportunities we would love for you to come out and support the organization, even if it's not from the pockets. Bodies are helpful, and in the process of trying to build community and get out of the community, it's essential that we show that. So like the page, and if you can show up. Yeah.
Thank you very much. How about questions? Anybody have questions from the gallery over here? Yes, Goy.
I'm very interested, but kind of busy with the schoolwork and classwork now. Are you guys offering during summer?
That's definitely a possibility. If we get enough people interested in the summer, we would definitely be open to doing that. And you can also supplement with the online versions. I have to say I'm not as fond of the online versions because you don't get this, the camaraderie. And if there were a couple more people, we'd be a lot noisier than we are now. We're a little quiet today, but that's okay.
What are those hours on on those days, like Friday, Saturday, Sundays? What are those hours?
They're intense hours. They're like 9 to 5.
Oh, every day? Okay.
For the 3 days, yes. But like I said, you could do one day online or half a day online or whatever you needed. We'd help you get it, but it's, but it's not as simple as, I know devoting those 3 days is really intense, but it's also, you're done in that amount of time. By Monday, you're beat, but you have a huge toolkit to work from. And then throughout the year, we offer other trainings as well, which would be focusing on different areas, like teaching mindfulness and meditation to children. We just did this a while back at Cambio's new studio when they opened up. That's like a 4-hour session of all the things you can do for realistically for kids and meditation and mindfulness, because it's not, it's a lot of games and fun, but they don't know all the stuff they're learning, but we do, and it keeps them happy. So those are other trainings you could look out for.
Coy, by the way, I'm gonna take this one, and I'm not gonna be able to do the Friday one, so I will be doing the Friday one online, but I will do the Saturday and Sunday. So just FYI, the combination is a definite option, and that's what I'm considering also.
Right, and the manuals are extensive. I'm a designer, so that's what I do. So my partner is more like a doer, Jan is like, just get it done. And it's like, no, it has to be perfect. So the manuals are, if you just read the manual and did the stuff, you would get the same stuff. It's just that you wouldn't get the interaction between the students in the classrooms. It's really the same as doing it online. But if you're not, like, I'm not accountable enough to do that on my own. I need some structure. Anybody else
Yeah.
have a question?
And are these modules that go with age group, like in general, which age group that you could apply these to?
Okay, first module covers preschool, school age, teens and tweens, and family. So once you go through one for each day, first day is all preschool. And you know, if you don't have aspirations to teach preschool kids, it's a little weird, but it's fun. I mean, just act goofy. And then school age is the biggest one. It takes up the biggest chunk of time because that's from K through 5. So you're gonna have things in the middle that you can adjust a little bit lower for grades and things that you can raise up a little bit if you have older kids. So it's all workable. It's just, you just use your own discretion as to your kids. You know the kids in the group, so you know what they'll think is cool and what will be.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Where we're gonna have training at Omnastic Yoga?
No, I think right now training may be at a super duper cool spot that we found, which is a fancy house called the Peel House next to First Lutheran Church. And it's free for nonprofits. And so we're going to see if we can get some days there. What we're doing for module 1, actually, because Jan is in Germany teaching from abroad. So she will do the morning part online. So you can stay home in your pajamas for that. And then the afternoon part, we meet live, probably at that location, but I'm not guaranteeing anything until we reserve the spot. But probably at that location with a nice open floor plan and places for mats, you know, and all the necessities that you need, restrooms and water and all that stuff.
So only that with the lady from Germany that would be online, the rest would be in person, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the mornings would be online with Jan, and then you come in at 12 or so, you have lunch, come in at 12 or 1, whatever we decide, and then we work for the afternoon, and the next morning you get to do the same thing for 3 days.
Oh, okay. So the morning just be online. Okay.
Mhm.
And then afternoon. Okay.
Does that sound doable, Goy, possibly for you?
I'm thinking because I'm doing online classes now for the college, you know, to certify as the director and also plus teaching yoga 5 classes a week and work to 2 schools at this time. So a lot in my pocket now. Yeah. Mhm. But-
Very much on your point. So yeah, I totally get it. We won't offer it again this year for sure. Maybe in the spring or summer, we'll have to see. But we'll get, so I'm not hiding prices or anything. The module 1 is $600.
Mhm.
So that's 30 plus hours towards your certificate or for your continuing education hours, whatever you want to use it as. And then if we get 5 people to sign up, I'm going to bring that down as much as I possibly can, like maybe 20-25%. So
But you are offering this every year, right? Yeah. I
I
mean,
hope so.
Okay.
To be honest, we've been really struggling to fill the trainings, and because we have, you know, overhead to pay and people to hire and stuff, we're disappointed in our turnout each year, and each year we say this might be the last time, only because we have to pay for this certification as a school. So if Jan, who's the owner technically, decides that, you know, we're not going to profit, we may have to come up with a different plan. So maybe offer it through a studio, maybe, I don't know yet what we'll do, but I can't say like we're going to offer it every year, you know, no matter what. We may not.
Okay.
We'll always do the smaller trainings, I'm sure. The little ones you can, you know, 4 hours to focus on one thing, but I don't know about the whole thing.
Okay. I just feel like I thank you, but I just feel like I like to be in person, and I did 300 hour online, and I was so kind of done online thing, you know, so I kind of wish that Jan could be in person. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, there's always, you know, more opportunities to do that, as we go through the trainings. You know, you can substitute some of that for observing a class, for coming to help a class, but with a lot of people, it's easier to have half the day a little bit more flexible than the whole day in the studio. But, you know, totally workable. And, you know, we'll have to see how we do with our signups.
Okay. I will stay in touch with you
Okay.
before the date. Okay. But I appreciate your information, and I love
Good.
your voice, by the way. That is the best, you know, thing for the training. Your voice is so soothing. And I think the kids will love that. That make them feel so.
I agree. I yell a lot with them boys. They don't.
I don't know. If I were kids, I love that kind of like a motherly voice, you know, just so warm my heart. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. I stay in touch. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right, I think we have a good amount to